At Josiah White's, we've had more change in the last couple years than we've had in a long time.
Growing Teens for Life program is an experiential learning program that uses hands-on learning approach through practicing the work skills while staff provide direct skill training, coaching, and behavior modeling. Our goal is to equip each student with the skills necessary to be successful in today's workplace. The Growing Teens for Life program was started in 2015. It was started right back here in the greenhouse with just about 10 to 15 students who we call our student interns. When 50 East opened in 2019, they expanded with the cafe and the garden center, which gave so many more opportunities for students to learn different work skills. Some of the work sites that we have down here at 50 East alone is we have the aeroponic towers, we have the cafe, and we have the garden center and greenhouse. All of those areas provide different skills for all of our students. In the aeroponic towers, they learn about the growth of lettuce using just the water towers. In the cafe, they can learn about being a barista, making sandwiches, or creating new menu items for our customers in the customer service experience. In the garden center, they get to learn about just doing the displays and the normal customer service that we see every single day. There they also learn about money handling, which is a really important skill because you can use that in almost any job. All of our skills that we learn down here tie together some way between all of the customer service that each area learns and the money handling part of it and the barista and serve safe. We're hoping that these skills provide the tools that these students need to go out into the real world and be really equipped to get any job that they would like to get.
The students have an opportunity to learn about aeroponics and how that works. We talk about commercial agriculture, greenhouse functioning, and all the ins and outs of that. While the students are here, we learn how to grow lettuce mostly. We learn how the towers function, what's required for the lettuce to grow and thrive. We talk about routine and preventative maintenance, sanitation. All the lettuce that we harvest here goes back up to the cafeteria or right out to the 50 East Cafe to sell. Conservatively, we harvest about 200 pounds of lettuce every 40 days. One of the highlights of working here, not only growing healthy, nutritious food and exposing the kids to that, is just seeing them fall into a leadership position back here.
But I take my work here very serious.
I believe it.
Very important.
And everyone knows it.
When I came to sing here from Marion College, I didn't know this place. I didn't know what this was all about. But let me tell you, when I sang the first time, and the first time I sang here, I sang, "Let us break bread together on our knees." Well, they called the prof back and told him, when you come back to represent the college here at White's, I want you to bring that singer back. So he called me and he said, "Hilda, when we go back, you have to go back." I said, "I will go back." And he said, "You have to sing because he wants you to sing." And as he called on me to sing, as I was getting up, I heard with my own ears a voice as clear and as loud as I'm talking to you. In my heart, I'm sure I heard it. And this is what the voice said: "I want you to serve me here."
Amen.
And I looked all around because I heard it, but who was safe speaking? So I went back and the pastor said, "Miss Clark, is there something wrong?" I said, No. So he said, "Well, we'll soon have you back." I came back, and when I got up again, the voice said to me, "I want you to serve me here." But when I got back to my seat, I said, "Jesus, when you talked to Samuel, he was a little kid. And it is the priest told him to say, 'Speak, my Lord.' for thy servant heareth. And so I'm saying right now, I hear you, and I know who you are. Yes, I'll serve you here. Don't know anything about the place. Don't know what it's all about. Never heard it. And listen, as soon as I got back to my room, I wrote a letter to whoever it may concern at White's. I got the address from Prof. Baker and sent it here. Do you know I had more than 2 years? I never heard from White's. Never heard a word. So now I'm getting ready to finish my student teaching, finish my college, and went to do student teaching in Naptown. When I got a call when I went to the place where I'm living, saying that we would like to know if you would like to come and be a teacher at White's. I said, White's? He said, yes. The superintendent gave me this number and I forgot to call you to let you know, but we need somebody this summer. Well, and he didn't ask me. He called back again to ask me, well, what kind of teacher am I going to be, because they need an English teacher. And that's, if it's not an English teacher, we can't use you. Jesus was preparing me all of that time.
Foster care began in 1985 as a response to kids in residential who were needing a place to step down to, and they were unable to go home for a variety of reasons, and so the Wabash area started foster care. When I looked back at Josiah White's original will, he talked about kids having a spiritual formation, having the ability to use their hands in learning, and having an education. And in foster care, kids get to do all of those things. So foster care started in 1985, but then grew to 6 regional offices between then and 2006. As the need grew, we moved to regions where kids needed a home to go to. So the state of Indiana began working with families in their home setting, trying to prevent removals of their children. And so in 1998, White's responded to that call and began serving kids and families in their home environment so that hopefully out-of-home care would not be needed.
We have just shy of 800 acres on campus, and we have 550 acres that are tillable. And Roger Peebles does our farming as a cash rent lease on our property, the tillable, and he rotates crops. Sometimes he will do a cover crop in the winter to help with erosion. Last year we had corn crop. This year will be a bean crop. We have planted 30,400 trees in different areas, and we had a forester put that program together for some of the areas is flowering trees, so they'll look really nice as you're coming through campus in the spring and different times when they bloom. And other areas we created hardwood plots. We have 73 buildings, and out of the 73 buildings, I believe we have 53 homes or apartments for staff. We have 11 building maintenance techs that work in every area, every aspect of building maintenance, from painting to drywall, HVAC to electrical. We have our own water system that we maintain, and we treat our water for bacteria. We test everything monthly. We have all of the VOCs and SOCs tested quarterly, so our water is very good water here. One well is 540 feet deep.
I think living on campus is like one big family, and it's an extension of your family because it's the people that you work alongside every day. You live with neighbors who know the work that you're doing, who understand you, who can encourage you, pray for you. And so for the 20 plus years that we lived here, we just felt like it was our extended family. I think back to the everyday things like my kids riding bikes with their friends, sledding down the hill, fishing in the creek, getting on the school bus together with their friends and playing games while they waited for the bus. And then there were the events like the fall festivals, softball games where the kids got to help with concessions, Easter egg hunts. This was just its own small little town almost, with so many memories packed up inside of it. And then as I reflected again about living here on campus, as parents you always wonder what the impact of your work will have on your own children. And growing up here and our kids being front and center to see the work that we did here, to come back to live on campus as my son was a teenager, and for him to stand in the window and say, I feel like I'm home. And then fast forward a few years and him to choose to serve his calling out here on this campus and work here, just couldn't be any more special to me.
I got snowed in out here, and so Jerry Garner came with his tractor, and I had all my clothes and an overnight bag, and he came and picked me up and brought me on campus to work. And they thought it was like Green Acres.
When we came there in '69, every student had a job, boys and girls. And of course, most of the boys were outside from a garden. We had chickens, pigs, some beef cattle, and the big push was dairy cattle. And the kids would work a week, go to school a week. And it was really a good program. Rid of the dairy. We finally got rid of the hogs too and concentrated on grain. And I think we did an excellent job in that transition of raising grain.
There has been cows on campus for years. It started back in the 60s. They had dairy cows, they had beef cows, they had pigs and chickens. Then it got to, I'd say, the late 90s. They leased the pasture out to a local farmer, and he kept his cows here. Back in 2017, we started our own herd because it was a nice gift to whites, and they are American Aberdeen cows that we inherited from a generous donor that we have grown since then to now we have 26 on campus. Very, very nice herd, healthy herd. So then NRCS also did our design on our fencing plan so that we had everything divided in a strategic plan that they helped us through. And then they were generous, and it was a nice program called EQUIP, which helped fund the cover crop plan, the trees, the fencing, the heavy use areas. So that was a big benefit to whites through that program. We then worked with the NRCS, Soil Water Conservation, and they drew up a plan for us for soil water conservation and erosion for our cattle. And the cattle, they don't want cattle to play in the creek and stir the mud and all that stuff. So they paid for us to do cattle crossings, and so we dug the creeks out and made a cattle crossing, and we bedded it with a fabric and then number 2 stone and lime dust. So all the cattle crossings you can drive across now, and you're not gonna get stuck. You're not gonna stir up the mud and erosion. So then they also did our heavy use feed plot areas where we feed, and our cattle water locations. So we added 2 more locations for cattle watering, and run the water line up from one of our residential areas down to the cows. So now they have 3 watering areas, 2 cattle crossings, and we have 9 paddocks. We have mineral licks, and we keep minerals in a trough for them. They are 95% grass fed. Then we did a bee pollinator plot that they have some bushes that are pollinator bushes. They bloom, and the bees can then take that and make honey and the nectar and make the honey. And we also planted wildflowers and sunflowers in the areas around the pollinator bushes. So probably June, July, we'll be able to see the full effect of the flowers and pollinator bushes. And that's down on the south end of campus by the cows also. We store our water in a 100,000 gallon water tower, and we only keep 60,000 gallon so that it turns over frequently. We usually use around 25 to 27,000 gallons a day on campus. On campus, we have a facility for boys and girls, also staff. We have a weight room for free weights for the boys. We have a gym for the boys when they want to play basketball. Or if it's raining, you know, they can play any other dodgeball or things like that in the gym. And then from there, we move on down to a full-size swimming pool that staff and students and they can use in the evenings or do their 1-hour rec in the evenings for the students. And then we have the girls' gym is, it's been renovated in 2012, a new maple floor, and we have a exercise room, ellipticals, bicycles, treadmills, and free weights for the girls and staff in the girls' gym. And then from there, we move to softball fields. I work here because it is a passion to see results in beautifying what God's given us. The ground, the trees, the cows, everything that's maintained and beautified. Other people see it as when they first pull on the campus, and it's wow. It's wow, I've never seen that. And I really think if you come in from the north side of campus, it's a different image than if you come in from the south end of campus. The south end of campus, when you pull in to campus and the first thing you see is the cows, it is, to me, that's our heritage. That's part of living in the country in Wabash County. I think that every young person needs to experience a first walk, a first pet of the cows on campus, on the north end of campus, a pond where they reel in their first fish, and the excitement that they get is, to me, it's healing for all of them.
If I can help somebody as I walk along, then my living, his living, will never be in vain. And we all in this building are here because we represent kids in need.
Amen.
And it's no use of us saying we are working if we're not doing one thing, is making sure they see by our actions, by our words, by the life we live, that Jesus has control of us and he has made a change in our lives.
Mm-hmm. I've always been, you give it 110%, because that's what God intended for us. Put us here to do good works. And I just, it's a home. It's a different feel to work in an organization like this than it is to work in a factory. And I've been on both sides of the fence. I love it.